Okay. Class, we are going to discuss today with you the kinetic theory of gases, first lecture on it. And many things you have studied in the chemistry as well, like Boyle's law. When I'm talking about the kinetic theory of gases, I'm talking about the random motion of the gas molecules, which are moving, of course, in different directions with different velocities. And of course, for ideal gas, if you see, then PV it is equals to nRT. That equation is true, and that we have got after studying so many laws with us. The first law which is coming with you is Boyle's law, which said that if temperature is kept constant, then volume of the gas is found inversely proportional to its pressure. It means V is inversely proportional to the pressure, or I can say V it is equals to a constant divided by P, or I write PV that is equals to a constant. That constant I have written as the. So if I go with the graph plotting, because inverse relation is there, so you will be getting a parabolic graph like this. And if I draw the graph for pressure and inverse of the volume, then of course I will be getting a straight line with a slope. So graph plotting concept should be clear. And Charles' law said that if pressure is kept constant, then volume is directly proportional to the temperature. So it means V by T it is equals to constant. So again, if you go with the graph plotting, then you get for volume and temperature, if I go with the graph, I get a straight line with a slope. So these laws should be clear, because you can use these laws and these equations in the numericals. Similarly, Gay-Lussac law, he said that if volume is constant, then pressure upon temperature is coming out to be constant, or I can say pressure is directly proportional to temperature. And if I go with the ideal situations, then this product PV comes equals to nRT for n moles. If I take for 1 mole of the gas, then simply you can write PV it is equals to RT, where R is a gas constant and its units you can see, that is joule per mole per Kelvin. I'm getting the value 8.31 joule per mole per Kelvin. And if I go with CGA system, I'm getting 1.98 calorie per mole per degree Celsius. These values of course should be known to you, because you can use these values in the numericals if required. These all things you have studied, like for Boltzmann constant, if I go, then Kb is the symbol with me, which is equals to the gas constant R divided by your Avogadro's number. And if I'm writing for n number of moles, if I'm just want to put the value of want to write this equation in terms of Boltzmann constant, your ideal gas equation, then I should be knowing that number of moles that is equals to your number of molecules which are present in the gas divided by the Avogadro's number. Avogadro's number you all know, 6.023 into 10 to the power 23. So I can write the value of small n in the ideal gas equation, and I can write the value of R from here, that is your R upon Na, that is Kb. From here you will write R, it is equals to Kb into Na. And you can see Na is getting cancelled, and I'm left with PV, it is equals to Kb Nt, where Kb is the Boltzmann constant. So the ideal gas equation, if you wish, you can write in terms of the Boltzmann constant, and you can find the value of the Boltzmann constant as well. The important thing with you, which can be asked as a 5 markers questions also, that you have to tell what is the kinetic theory of an ideal gas, and you have to derive the expression for the pressure exerted by an ideal gas. That is an important question with you. Of course, when I'm talking about the kinetic theory of ideal gases, I'm talking about the motion of the molecules. And these molecules, if they are in a container, then they are exerting pressure on the walls of the container, and whenever the molecules they are coming in they are moving towards the wall, change in momentum is there, so that is exerting the force, and you have to apply the Newton's third law. Means for every action there is equal and opposite reaction. So you can find the change in momentum, and then due to that change in momentum or the force which is there, that you have to find the pressure which is being exerted on the walls of the container. So that is the important topic with you, and you should be, before going for the expression for the pressure of gas, you have to have the knowledge of what are the assumptions which were taken by the kinetic theory of an ideal gas. So first assumption is that all the gases, they consist of molecules, and these molecules are rigid, considered as elastic spheres. They are identical for a given gas, and of course if I am talking about the different gases, then these molecules will be different from the first gas. But for a particular gas, given gas, these all the molecules, they are taken as identical. And elastic spheres, these things you have to note. These are very important. Many times they ask you to write only the assumptions for 2 marks. You have to write 4 assumptions, important ones of course. So you need to know the assumptions and settle them in your mind. Second assumption is that size of the molecule is negligible as compared with the average distance between the molecules. So don't consider these are, we are saying as an elastic spheres, but the size is just like a point size, because the molecules are very close. And we are saying that the size of this molecule is even smaller or negligible as compared to the distance between the two molecules. So that is to be noted. And the molecules, they are always in a state of continuous random motion. It means they are moving all the times, they are moving with certain velocities, and they are moving random motion, means they are moving in the different directions. And during the random motion, the molecules, they are colliding with each other as well with the walls of the container in which you are keeping the gas. And we are considering that all these collisions are perfectly elastic collisions. It means no loss of energy in any form is there. So energy, kinetic energy or mechanical energy, that is always conserved. The most important point with you is that these collisions are instantaneous. Instantaneous means there is no time lag between collisions. So these are, I have written as the important points for the assumptions which are to be taken by you. And when we are saying that they are having the motion randomly, then they are exerting pressure because of the continuous collisions of its molecules with the walls of the vessel. So that pressure we want to find. So that is important. You have to derive the expression for the pressure exerted by a gas. So we are making certain assumptions, bache. We are taking a container, rectangular, or I can say a cuboid I may take, or a rectangular box we have taken. In that box we are having the n number of gas molecules. We are assuming that small n is the number of gas molecules per unit volume. So for unit volume we are saying that small n is the number of gas molecules. And we are assuming, let small m is the mass of each molecule. Now molecules, they are moving randomly in different directions. So this molecule, if I am taking the first molecule, then it is having the velocity v, and I can resolve it into its components, that will be vx, vy, vz. And I can always write v, it is equals to vx I cap plus vy j cap plus Vz k cap. This you know how to write the velocity in the component form because velocity is a vector quantity. So we are saying all the molecules. Second molecule may be moving in this direction. Then if it is moving in this direction, it means all the component is Vy and Vx and Vz are 0 for the second molecule. If third component is moving there like this, then again you can resolve different velocities into the components, and you can see that because they are moving randomly, there is no fixed direction. So in general, we take that it is having components in all three possible directions, and we are assuming Vx, Vy and Vz as the components of velocity v if we are assuming one particle, first particle here. And we will be of course just looking for the motion of the one particle with velocity v, and then we can extend the result for the n number of gas molecules. That you have to understand. So we are assuming again for our convenience that let the molecule, this molecule which is having the velocity in all possible directions, but we are again restricting it. We are saying that it is hitting this planar area, capital A, this wall it is going to hit, and when it is going to hit, so it is moving along the x direction, so y and z components are 0. It means y and z components of the velocity are not changing because the motion is along the x-axis. So when the motion is along the x-axis, mass is m, velocity is vx along the x-axis, then what will be the linear momentum? Linear momentum will be mass into velocity. So that will be m into vx. And what will be the change in linear momentum? If the particle is moving in this direction and coming back with the same velocity, because we have assumed elastic collisions are there. So delta P, that will be equals to final momentum minus initial momentum, and final momentum is in along the negative direction. So I have written change in linear momentum, that you may write it as delta P, that is equals to final minus initial. So it is minus mvx, minus of initial momentum is again mvx. So I'm getting minus of twice mvx. Will be the momentum which is imparted to the wall in each collision, that will be equals to the negative of this change in linear momentum. So I'm getting the result with positive sign, that is 2mvx. And if we are assuming that number of molecules whichever are hitting the area A in time delta t, then that number of molecules will be equals to, we are of course taking the average of that number. So we are taking it half of A Vx delta t into delta n. Half A Vx delta t into the number of molecules per unit volume, small n. Now total change in the linear momentum, total linear momentum which is transferred, that is given by simply multiplying this momentum which is imparted by one molecule multiplied with the total number of molecules, and so I will be getting nmvx square A delta t. This is the result for one molecule which we have assumed that moving along x-axis. And we have taken the average value. Now what will be the force which will be exerted on the wall? Force is by Newton's second law, you can say rate of change of linear momentum. So it is equals to delta P by delta T. And if you put the value of delta P here, then you are getting mn Vx square A, because delta T will get cancelled. This is the, because of one particle we are taking, that you have to keep in mind. Now what will be the pressure which is exerted on wall? That is of course force upon area. Force is mn Vx square A divided by area A. I am getting mn Vx square. This is the force which is exerted on the wall by one molecule. And because we are taking the molecule that is moving with different velocities, so in place of Vx, I can write even the average velocity as Vx bar square, and the pressure exerted average because of the one particle which is moving along the x-axis is mn Vx square. But gas is isotropic, so it means it is having the velocities in all possible direction. If I am taking the average velocities equals, means they are equal, then I can write Vx square, that is equals to Vy square average, that is equals to Vz square average values we are taking. So I can write the total average velocity is 1 by 3 of Vx square plus Vy square plus Vz square. So which is equals to 1 by 3 V square. Now this V bar square, that is the mean square velocity of the molecule. Then it means this pressure, that will be Vx will be replaced by this V average mean square velocity, because we are having number of molecules. Then I will be writing it as 1 by 3 mn V square. I can write this expression in terms of density also, because density is here's mass upon volume. Density you write by the symbol rho. Rho, that is equals to mass upon volume. So mass is for n molecules, that is mass of one molecule multiplied with the number of molecules. We are finding for a unit volume. So volume is unity. So I'm getting it equals to mn, or I can write nm, meaning is same. So once you have got this value nm, that is equals to density, so in this expression for the pressure you can write 1 by 3 rho V bar square. V bar is of course the mean square velocity of the molecule. So this is the result with me for the pressure exerted, which is to be noted, bache. Now, if this is the result, I can be asked to find the relation between the pressure and kinetic energy per unit volume. So because pressure exerted by the gas we have derived, it is coming out to be 1 by 3 rho V square. I can find mass per unit volume, that is of course volume into density for the unit volume. If I have taken density as rho, it means mass per unit volume is equals to density rho, which you already know. So if I want to find average kinetic energy per unit volume, kinetic energy means half mv square, and in place of mass I have to take, because kinetic energy per unit volume, so it means this m will be replaced by mass per unit volume, and I will be getting half rho v square. That is the energy. That otherwise also you can write, this is equals to of course half mv square divided by this v for velocity, this v for volume, and this mass upon volume, that is equals to density. So you can write this value as half rho v square. And if I divide the pressure with the average kinetic energy, which I am writing it as capital E only, so I am getting it is coming out to be 2 by 3. Simple mathematics. And so this relation is important, that P it is equals to 2 by 3 E. But you should be knowing in the numericals that this E is kinetic energy per unit volume. That is to be noted. It's not half mv square, but it is half rho v square, because I'm finding per unit volume. So in the question you have to read whether they have given you per unit volume or not. Then only you can use this relation with you. Now the next thing with you is that you have to find average kinetic energy per molecule of a gas. That is again on the basis of kinetic theory of gases. So kinetic theory of gases should be clear. All the assumptions should be known to you. Now because we have done that density, that is mass upon volume, and according to kinetic theory of gases, pressure which is exerted on the walls of the container, that is equals to 1 by 3 rho v bar square. V bar is of course average velocity. Then I can write the value for this density here, which is mass upon volume. So I can rewrite the formula as 1 by 3 m upon volume into v bar square. This is for velocity of case. So you can write PV because pressure is of case P. I denoted by P. So PV that is equals to 1 by 3 mv square. But you know that I can rewrite, if no problem will be there, if I multiply and divide by this number 2, because I know half mv square is the energy. So I can write it as 2 by 3 E. Here E is of course simply the energy. If you want, you may write it as E dash just to differentiate. And PV it is equals to nRT, but if I take 1 mole of ideal gas, then I can write PV it is equals to RT. So I can replace this value of PV in this equation, that is RT equals to, it is coming out to be 2 by 3 E dash, I can write. So I will be getting E dash that is equals to 3 by 2 RT. So this is one relation again which you have to keep in mind. And when I'm finding the mean kinetic energy per volume, then it is equals to E divided by the number of molecules. See, bache, this thing you have to keep in mind always in the further any lectures. Capital N is the total number of molecules. That is always we take capital N as the total number of molecules, and small n we take number of molecules per unit volume. So wherever you are using the symbol capital N or small n, you should be knowing the meaning. So what is the difference between small n and capital N? So I'm getting, by putting the value of this, E dash upon number of molecules, that is of course the total number of molecules in the gas. So I'm getting 3 by 2 RT by N. And this R by N, I can replace it by the Boltzmann constant also. Yes, we will be talking about the RMS velocities, average speed and all these things in the coming lecture also. But you should be knowing that RMS is the square root of the average velocity, square of the average velocity. So if I put the value, I'm getting it. That is coming out to be 3 RT upon M. This relation you can always derive, but to note is that Vrms is directly proportional to the temperature. So if I am at 0 temperature, 0 Kelvin, then Vrms will also be 0. So these things you have to keep in your mind. So for today, keep things up to this. Thank you everyone.